For the body, I just say alright, love. Cause I wanna make a wish on my body as a man, God life. Jimmy cause I knock on my wrist, I like. Jimmy cause I did not make a red tie life. All I was on the Mars, I'm a real. Dimmers on my god, the master like a massacre. And listen, dimmers on the mic, I run and the massacre. Send the massacre, and the minute run a girl. It's a minute, was a lady, now it's a minute, got it. Cause the flow to my life,
So pretty much what I have behind me is my 1991 Acura NSX. Pretty much every single popular mod that any NSX owner would want, I pretty much have, minus the supercharger. Way back when, at my grandma's place, my cousin would have a poster, the iconic poster of the 1991 red NSX, and always wanted an NSX. Heck, opportunity presented itself, and I ended up getting an NSX for myself. It wasn't a Japanese car, it was actually American muscle that actually got me into cars. And you know, some people might have a blankie as their favorite thing. I actually had a steering wheel as my calm toy. It'll keep me calm and everything like that. The main reason why I got the NSX was just the raw feeling, like the emotional connect that you have, the connection between you and the car. Sometimes all the horsepower in the world won't build that connection. Once the internet started coming around with forums and whatnot, starting to like reverse engineer things, that's pretty much how I got into cars. From my first Honda was a 1992 Honda Accord, and it just kind of snowballed on there. Acura Integra, RSX, so on and so forth. So, and now ultimately the NSX.
How's it going, everybody? Today we're in a special car. This is a good friend of mine, Tommy's NA1, also known as the Honda NSX. It's a supercar that was made by Honda, and they actually made it to compete with the Ferrari at the time. And it's competing with the Ferrari. It did beat the Ferrari in a lot of ways, and you get the Honda reliability with it, which is amazing. This one is a mid-engine setup. The motor is sitting right behind me. It's a V6. It does have VTEC, but it's a very linear sort of VTEC. It's not like a NS2000 VTEC where the VTEC crossover is very harsh or whatnot. The feel of the VTEC is more like iVTEC, so something like the K20 or the K24s, where there is a substantial power increase, but the crossover isn't as aggressive as most stereotypical Hondas are. And Tommy's pretty much upgraded this car with every single upgrade you can get for the NSX, so it's significantly more powerful than the regular NA1 NSX. So the NSX is one of those cars where people know it's something special, but they just automatically assume that it's a Ferrari because of the body lines, right? And the person that used to design this car actually used to design fighter jets. And that's one of the reasons why the layout of the cockpit is very similar to somewhat of a fighter jet. Everything's just kind of laid out there with you. Shifter's right here, it's like a joystick. And it's a very direct shifter. You know exactly what gear you're in. Every single gear is super notchy, but it's not too notchy. It's a perfect cross of just right. And Honda's always been praised for their shift boxes. Even with the Civics, they've kind of mastered the perfect gearbox, right? So I'm not really surprised that the Honda NSX has an amazing shifter. And the Honda NSX is kind of like the top tier of Honda. It's kind of, if you can say, it's probably the best Honda ever created. It's kind of like a poster car. And going back to what I was saying earlier, the Honda NSX is one of those cars where, to the untrained eye, people would assume it to be a Ferrari, but once they see the Honda or the Acura badges on it, they're a little confused. And it's completely understandable why, because the general public doesn't really know that there's any other exotic outside of like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. But the person who actually knows what the NSX is, this car can actually be a lot more special than a Ferrari. This car, you kind of see them coming into meets, and it generates crowds. Like, people actually come around, and it kind of steals the show because, once again, they're super rare and you don't really see them all over the place. And especially something like Tommy's where it's like stanced out and it has all the modifications that all the Honda NSXs that you do see on like Instagram and all that stuff. This is one of those NSXs. Seats that he's gone with, they're actually from an RSX. And this seat, it holds you in really nicely. When you're hitting corners and whatnot, you're not moving anywhere. So you kind of just planted in here. The seat also sits really low as well, which feels really nice with the pedals. The pedals are also placed really close together. At first when I drove it, it was a little bit of a complaint because my shoes kept touching each other. So somebody a little bit bigger than me, I can see that being a problem. But over time, like anything, you get used to it. But Honda's placed the pedals together like that, so it's easier to heel and tow. And also the pop-up headlights. How can we not talk about the pop-up headlights? I really wish that car manufacturers can bring the pop-up headlights back, but I highly doubt it. But they're so special, you know, whenever they pop up, it's almost as if your car is more alive. Also, the steering wheel that Tommy has chosen for the NSX is the Momo tuner wheel. And a lot of guys would kind of question why he went with such a wheel. But honestly, what this is, it feels like the mastered Honda. So this wheel, this shifter, and these seats, it's very common to see them in like a Civic setup or whatnot, right? But the fact that they're in this NSX make it that much more special. You gotta remember that he didn't choose to keep it pure, he chose to update it. Even the choice of rims that he's picked, they're very subtle. On a car like this with lines that are already beautiful, less is more. Clutch feel and everything's absolutely amazing. It's very organic. There's no travel, there's no air, everything's just perfect on this. And also this NSX does not have power steering. So in the parking lot, it is a little bit of a hassle, but the car's super light as well, so it's not too bad. But once you get going, the steering wheel is super organic, and you really feel everything on the road, especially on the bends and cornering. You don't really have to muscle it too much because, like I did mention earlier, the car is super light, so it feels really natural in your hands. So we're just about to take it onto the freeway right now, so we can do a few pulls and we can hit VTEC as well, and get you guys a little more engine sounds. We're gonna make sure we have some space. So right now we're on third gear. We're just gonna pull it over. We're gonna hit VTEC. VTEC right now, like I mentioned, is very linear. And it's very, very, very quick. And the biggest complaint that people had with this car was the long gearing, actually. So stock, what would actually happen is because the gearing is so long, there will be a little bit of a lag of power until you're a little bit higher up in the RPMs, which is normal because it is a Honda motor and they want you to hit VTEC to experience the full potential of the motor. But in this scenario, since Tommy has pretty much every single upgrade you can get for this motor besides the supercharger, it's pretty much fixed all of that. So no matter what gear you're in, you're constantly getting torque. But once again, when you do hit VTEC, it is obviously going to be pulling a lot faster. And that's what I love about this car. And this is amazing. The cockpit is so nice. There's literally no blind spots. And I can see the car all the way around. And I really, really do love that. And also the exhaust that Tommy's got fitted on this, it's pretty loud. But I'm not complaining. That sounds amazing. And this is a pretty strange Honda. One, the engine's in the back. Two, it's rear-wheel drive. So just being in this cockpit, kind of a strange feeling because this cluster's telling me that I'm in a Honda Accord. The steering wheel's telling me that I'm in a Civic. But the shifter and the rest of the cockpit is telling me I'm in something very special. And that's what I really love about this car. Because it still has that natural Honda boyish feel, but the boy is all grown up. Shifting this it's such a pleasure. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to share this video. And big shout outs to Pradeep from Wild Rabbit Entertainment for coming out and helping me film this special. And also, I'd like to thank Tommy for letting me drive his very, very expensive gold of an NSX. And also guys, make sure you click subscribe and click that bell button right next to it because I drop car reviews every single Sunday. Alright guys, peace. Thank you so much. Have a good night. 11/11 guys.